Welcome to the Colorado Lottery Game Jam. I'm John Paller. I'm the co-founder and executive steward of ETHDenver, which is the world's largest Ethereum-based hackathon hosted in Denver, Colorado for the past 3 years, where we've hosted over 5,000 people from 75 countries and over 400 projects. For this installment, we've got a very unique opportunity to partner with the state of Colorado, with the state of Colorado source creativity to build the next lottery game. So we have an incredible lineup of speakers tonight. The creativity and intelligence and just thought leadership on this call is going to be, it's going to blow your mind. So welcome from me, from the ether space. You can see where I am right now, but I'm actually going to shift where I'm broadcasting from, because I'm going to take myself down to Colorado here and say hello from my friends, the Buffacorns. So with that, we're going to jump right into this. But before I do, I'm just going to give you some expectations on what this is. So first off, this is a giant experiment. So everyone's doing virtual everything. That no one's done this before. So forgive us if we're a little bit cumbersome and maybe not perfectly executing. We're here to learn from each other. If there's something we can do to improve, please tell us what it is. We have all sorts of communications channels that we'll go through. We've got a Discord server. We've got office hours for mentors. We've got our emails, of course, you can connect with us at. Please engage, please be present. This is what it's designed to do. And give us feedback, because I do think that this virtual world that we're living in isn't going to go away anytime soon necessarily. We're at least going to have to learn to deal with sort of a sitting on the fence version of this, or, you know, partial person, partial virtual, who knows what's going to happen. But bear with us. So what else are you going to expect? Well, there's an incredible amount of creativity that's been crowdsourced into this event. We have people from the public sector, including the state of Colorado governor and department heads here. We have CEOs from top companies in Colorado, as well as top project and thought leaders from the Ethereum and Web3 space that's going to just absolutely melt your mind when it comes to what we've got to offer. So with that, I'm going to introduce Tom Seaver, who's a senior director at the Colorado State Lottery, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about this initiative, how this came to be, why the heck we're even doing this, how we came to be a partnership, and a little bit more about what to expect. So Tom, I'm going to go ahead and shift the time to you. Thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you, John, and thank everybody for being here today. You know, the Colorado Lottery is the only lottery in the world whose proceeds are dedicated to parks, recreation, open space, wildlife preservation, and with some dedicated to school construction through our BEST program. The lottery has pretty aggressive goals. In fact, by FY23, we want to be a $1 billion per year business. What that means when we achieve that is we'll be giving hundreds of millions of more dollars to our proceeds beneficiaries. And that's where tonight comes in. You know, last year alone, 67,000 new people moved to Colorado. And that's been pretty much an average year for us lately. In addition to that, US News and World Report ranked us as the 10th best place to live in the United States. So we don't see the growth in our population and our number of new Coloradans slowing down anytime soon, and that's just fun. But part of the reason that they come here is for parks. It's for our mountains. It's for the opportunities to get outdoors and have a great time. That's never been more true than it is today, when people are going outside to get away from their monitor and to get something interesting and physically challenging maybe to do. So the lottery has to grow in order to continue to provide places for people to go outside. We need to be able to provide money for all of our beneficiaries so that they can continue to buy land, they continue to upgrade playgrounds, they can continue to all those things. The lottery's been here since 1983, and in that amount of time, we've raised over $3.5 billion to go to our proceeds recipients, and that's a lot of money. And it's all thanks to our players and to our retailers, those great stores that have remained open for us selling our products. We are so grateful to them. And that also is going to tie into what we're going to be doing this week. So I'm excited to to thank them and bring them into this mix. But I don't want you to just take my word for it. Justin has a video that he's going to cue up here in a second that just gives you a little taste of what the Colorado Lottery and our partners do in the state of Colorado. So Justin, roll it. Thank you. In that little video, you saw 15 different projects that were funded either fully or partially by the lottery. There are literally hundreds more. And in order to keep that going, we need to find a way to keep up with the increasing demand for these types of projects. How are we going to do that? Clearly, we need to do more than just evolve. You know, we need to reinvent the lottery. We need to find new ways to bring new products to new players in new places all over the state. That's really important. I think a lot of people don't understand that the lottery's demographics mirror the state of Colorado's demographics. Our players have jobs, they have good incomes, they have good educations, and they're looking for more opportunities to engage in a way that will help fund the way that they play when they go out on the weekend. So it's important that we grow the base of our playership. And that means growing new opportunities and new versions of products, not just enhanced old products, but new products. And how we do that, that's a lot about what we're here for. Technology is one of the most important ways that we can increase the interest level of our Colorado player base and attract new players to the lottery. That's why we're so excited about engaging with your world. It's kind of like in Ghostbusters where they cross the streams. You know, we haven't always done a very good job as an industry reaching out for fresh ideas, and we're very excited about what we're going to do with this group. Before we get started, I want to say thanks to a number of people, not a really big number, so don't worry about that. But we want to especially thank our commissioners, Stella Peterson, who's the chair of our commission, Jim Bensberg, the Honorable Dennis Mays, Stan Podolsky, and Bill Clayton. I think some of you are on the call tonight. If you are, thank you so much for joining us. Your support is really, really, really important. But now I want to introduce somebody else whose support has been so incredibly important to us, and that is Lou Cordova, our Senior Director of the Department of Revenue. She is also my boss, but I want you to know that everything I'm saying, I'm very sincere about. It's not just because she's my boss. You know, Lou has done a great job of looking for ways for all of the departments of revenue to reimagine ourselves. You know, tonight, this is the start of one big part of it, especially for the lottery. You know, we're very excited about that. But she's really the perfect person to transform the Department of Revenue because she has an impressive resume in international finance, digital transformation, and e-commerce. She is also currently the chair and CEO of CTech, the global nonprofit breaking down barriers for entrepreneurs, and the CEO of Corland Industries LLC, a diversified holding company specializing in operations management, strategic planning, business development, and capital finance. She's also a force to be reckoned with. And I want you to welcome Lou Cordova.
Hey, thanks, Tom. That's really nice. Well, as you can tell, I come from the private sectors. I also ran Techstars Foundation. So I've been around entrepreneurship for a long time. I've had 6 companies. I've been a tech investor. And the governor asked me to bring that entrepreneurial spirit, maybe a little bit of that entrepreneurial craziness, to the Department of Revenue and see what we could do to reimagine state government. And so when I first met Tom and he says, we're going to have $1 billion, lottery, and we're going to reach the highest level of responsible gaming, I just thought, I love this guy, right? He runs the lottery with this .com head and a .org heart. And everybody on his team is so outdoors oriented. This is Fisher Peak behind me. And I remember thinking, we can do this, we can do this. Oh, wait. Sometime in the next 4 years, we're going to have a recession. Remember, this has been the strongest run up in history. And it's like, Tom, what are you going to do about a recession when it comes? Because things were going great. To get to be $1 billion lottery, you need to have double-digit growth per year, even during the recession. So you got to think out of the box. You got to think out of the office. You got to think globally. You got to think mobily. How about a hackathon? And Tom was like, a hack a what? And the team got on board. They looked at it. They investigated it. Now Tom's doing Trello. The team's got Jira going. It's really been a transformation and a mindset there. There you go, Tom. And it really is about this crowdsourcing innovation. And so the ideas that you bring to us, this is going to inspire generations of people to engage in the lottery for what the lottery brings, for the outdoors, for schools, for things like that. And yes, it's the first time it's been done in the lottery. I'm super excited about it. And it does go beyond the lottery, the way we're thinking about the state. Also under the Department of Revenue is the motor vehicles, the DMV. So picture a world with no DMV offices, but kiosks everywhere, nearby, at a Starbucks, at your local grocery store, inside the local grocery store, where you can get anything you need from state government, where there's maybe a concierge there, video people who can come and say, even to your Aunt Mabel, do you need some help with that? Let me show you what button to push on this, right? And that you can get all your services online. We have My Colorado app that you can get your driver's license online. So for all of you in Colorado that are not in Colorado, move to Colorado. It's way cooler here. So with that, I want to introduce our governor. He's challenged us all to be bold. It's one of his biggest statements. He's known for this. It's fun to be bold. You all get to live it every day. Now we get to. I will tell you, with 6 companies, the cabinet that he has chosen is probably the most competent group of people I've ever worked with. It's really a joy and a privilege to work with them. Governor, I cannot tell you how much it's been a privilege to work with you and to be able to know that you got our back as we go explore what we really can do in technology. And this represents that. So, Governor, take it away.
Well, thank you, Lou. I was going to wear my Buffacorn onesie. Yes, I have one. But you know what? When a governor wears something like that, and you have to run for re-election, I know that it might show up in negative ads. So I thought I'd wear something a little more traditional. Tom Seaver, thank you. I'm a huge fan. Your 1971 season, 1.76 ERA, 289 strikeouts, and now we're gonna win this lottery. So I'm a huge fan. Some of you get that reference, some of you don't. But I grew up in the 80s, and I'm a huge baseball guy, so I'm sure Tom got that all his life. So I apologize, Tom, but it's a good person to be associated with. Thank you, Lou, for the great introduction. Vitalik Buterin as well. In good times, we had fun on the stage at a big Denver event and a hackathon that they had. We got to read a little children's book. B is for Buffacorn. We have it for our kids, actually. It's a fun children's book. But we want all the creativity of the Ethereum community and everybody else to really help make our Colorado lottery fun and a success. It is at its heart a game. That's what it is. People are just doing it, for no reason. They're doing it to support our public lands. They're doing it because it's fun and it's a game. And of course, they have in their mind that they may be a winner as well, and that's part of the fun. I am just so excited about this event. When Lou approached me about it, I was like, yes, we're going to make this happen. And we're going to get so many great ideas from people all over the world who are hopefully watching this. In all seriousness, not wearing my Buffacorn onesie, one of my big goals as governor has been to embrace technology as a way to make our state government more efficient, more responsive, more effective. That's also fitting with a state, Colorado, that is one of the most important tech hubs in the world, really up and coming. And last year we launched Colorado Digital Services, which is a public-private partnership. It's a way that people who are successful in tech in the private sector can come in for 6 months or a year to the public sector and really share that knowledge. And for those of you who don't know, the goal of this virtual event is really to bring together a wide swath of creative developers from Colorado and across the world to make fun new lottery games to help that, what was kind of a stodgy lottery till Tom and Lou got there, be kind of an amazing, fun thing that also allows us to do all this great conservation work in our state. I mean, really keep what makes Colorado special is really a big part of that goal. And by using technology to draw in more players, we can fund outdoor recreation, conserve our public land. It also supports our schools, and we have such great partners. ETHDenver, Chainlink, IGT, participants of GameJam can create and pitch your proposed new games, and it's like a lottery for you. You have a chance to win $10,000 with a second prize of $5,000 or a third prize of $2,500. I don't know if we pay it out in dollars or Ethereum, but whatever, we're going to pay it out. We're good for it. But we want all those ideas, and that's part of the fun. There's also a separate additional prize category sponsored by ETHDenver and Chainlink that's awarded for games that meet the guidelines and are completed using Web3 as a platform. So look, GameJam is bigger than just a hackathon creating new and interesting games for the Colorado Lottery. It's also about our very beginning in deepening the sourcing of creativity from the tech community to benefit all Coloradans. Crowdsourcing is where it's at, and ultimately a crowdsourcing community creativity at this scale like GameJam can be a really big driver for public good. And let's start with preserving some of our iconic Colorado wild areas and doing trail improvements that allow us to have more fun mountain biking and hiking and really doing what makes Colorado special. So this is just a start. Let's have a good success here. I certainly look forward to other opportunities for using tech and the tech community to increase participation in our democracy, get creative ideas into government, and do a better job for the people of Colorado. So thank you for being here. Let's jam. I can't wait to see what you come up with, and I'll turn it back over to Lou.
And Governor, we'll make sure that you have more than just a onesie so that you've got some variety in your wardrobe, that you can have the spirit of the Buffacorn, but still the good campaign sort of content. So we'll make sure that you've got that later.
Yeah, it's kind of 101 of politics. You can't be caught dead in any onesie. It's kind of the end of a
Yeah, we understand. It's okay. We'll make sure that you got some center of the fairway stuff for later. But
there we go.
Thank you so much for your time and the great words.
He made us wear blue wigs. I think you can make him wear an ETH onesie. I think you can do that.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll work on that. But for now, thank you for your time, Governor. Okay, so we're going to jump into how this all works. So for reference, basically, I'm going to be parroting the rules page on our GameJolt posting. So if you haven't been to the Game Jolt site, if you haven't registered yet and you're just here watching this, then go to the Game Jolt site. It's jams.gamejolt.io/Colorado or CO Lottery Game Jam. So if you go to that site, it's actually all over the emails you've been getting. It's all over the communications. So we can post that in the chat as well. One of our team will post that for you. But I'm going to be kind of reviewing the rules and kind of how it works. So essentially it kind of goes like this. First off, in order to participate and in order to qualify for a prize, you have to be registered and you have to accept the terms and rules of the registration. Okay, so that's number one. So to do that, just go to the Game Jolt page and you can do it right from there. Now, when submitting your game via Game Jolt, and you're going to be submitting your game via Game Jolt, so don't think we don't have a dev post, we don't have a different submission system. It's going to be through Game Jolt. And what you're going to do is you're going to hashtag your project with hashtag CO Lottery Game Jam in your description. Now, what that does is the Game Jolt platform identifies your project as a submission for the Game Jam by that hashtag. So that's really important to get that right. And we'll be reminding everybody of this probably 10 times throughout the week, just so that we make sure that you get your submissions in, because we don't want to miss any really good projects. Now, in addition, you want to include a GitHub code repository link. So like include your GitHub. You know, some of the reviewers will be reviewing your game code. We do need to make sure that, like, you know, everything is you know, sort of reasonable there. There's not a lot we're looking for specifically, except that, you know, because of the terms of the competition, we do have to ensure that that you do actually have the code in your repository, and then there's some representations that you've made in the agreement and the waiver. You can use existing tools, engines, languages, and programming libraries to develop your game. Okay, so this isn't something that we expect you to kind of reinvent the wheel, so to speak. We do expect even open source code to being used. I mean, please notate the areas where you own the code and where you don't. That's really important for us to understand. Open source libraries are okay to use, but if you're using anything that's licensed that you don't have permission to use, that becomes problematic. So just keep in mind that you want to use programs that you have license to use and or that are open source libraries. You can use pre-made music and sound assets. So again, assuming you have permission to use them. Again, copyrights can be interesting in this world. So just make sure any music that you're using, you either have license or permission to use it, or if it's original, of course, then it's yours to use. Collaborations and group efforts are welcome. Now, we do not have a cap or a limit on team size. Now, we do suggest the best optimal team size is usually 3 to 5. Usually when you get more than that, it's a little too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes. And then a lot of times we see people wanting to compete with one person. In the ETHDenver rules, we do not allow that. But for the Colorado Game Jam, the Lottery Game Jam, we do allow solo submissions. We don't want to eliminate anybody and their creativity based on their inability to find a team partner. There might be something else we can help you with later on if you want to find a team partner, or, you know, something like that, but don't feel you have to go out and get a team partner for this particular exercise. You are not allowed to have more than one submission. So as much as you might want to submit 3 or 4 projects, any one person can only be on one team. Any one project can only submit one team. Any one team can only submit one project. So just bear in mind that you can only compete once, you can only win once. So you can't submit 3 or 4 projects hoping to win first, second, and third. It's really one submission, one person, one submission. You've got to own the IP. All right. Now, again, this goes back to permission and code. Like, you know, you can't use somebody else's IP. You can't copy or knock off something. For example, in the lottery world, bingo is a trademarked thing. So if you go and build a open source bingo game, you might have some IP problems there because you don't own the name. So we suggest that you really consider what you're building and whether or not there might be trademark issues, because it is important to make sure that you've got permission to use everything that you're using. Now, just as a telegraph, if you win and the lottery is going to implement your game possibly into the world of their game offerings. They can't be building something that's got an IP infringement or a problem or something like that. So this is just really making it easier for you and for them. Now, the judges will be reviewing some of that. I mean, of course, they're not going to have the time to look at everything, but if there's something obvious, they're going to review it and see if whether or not you've got the IP permission to do that. So please just bear in mind that that's really important. You can add images and descriptions to your GameJolt page anytime. So you can start your submission and your project, descriptions anytime you want. It's when you hit that hashtag that actually submits it to the project queue. So nobody will really know or see it until you do that, but you can build it anytime you want. Now, one best practice would be to do that like as you go. I wouldn't suggest trying to cram this like Sunday evening at 9 o'clock into 3 hours. You've got literally from now until next Sunday at midnight to do this. So like, just do it in increments. I mean, a lot of us have full-time day jobs. Like, so every night there's going to be the office hours from 4 to 5 p.m. So that will be happening in we'll be distributing Zoom links for each discipline that's available, as well as the Discord channels. So please do this stuff incrementally. It's probably the best way to have the best submissions. All right, so the game type. We do on the rules page have an example of what a monitor game is, but essentially you've got to think about this like, well, let me back up. One thing about this. Some people have said, well, why are you guys just limiting it to the monitor games? Why don't we just do any kind of game? And it's like a little foreshadowing here. We're gonna do that, but we want to make sure that the lottery really gets its core objectives hit this time. So think about when you're in a restaurant or, like a Buffalo Wild Wings or something, and you're playing those little monitor games that come there. You're kind of sitting at your table waiting for your food. And that's kind of the game experience you're kind of thinking of. This is sort of a casual experience. It's something that's sort of rapid fire. You want to make sure that you think about that engagement when it comes to the game players. And the sky's the limit. Now, Colorado has paved the way for Keno to be available in this setting next year. So what this is really about is finding a game that pairs well with that experience to really, drive engagement, make it more fun and exciting, make it more like where people want to play it, whether that's creating, visibility and transparency into the gaming system, or it's just a really cool game that pairs with it. We're not trying to stifle creativity at all. So the canvas is pretty much blank aside from those considerations, okay? Now it's gotta be a game of chance though. So if your games are cool, there's a ton of type of games, but in the lottery system, we're talking about a game of chance where the player has a known risk of losing an investment of sorts or some level of economics, but they also have that big upside in return. So just think about that as you're doing that. The target payout is 65%. So again, these targets are all in the GameJam rules. So if you want to take a look at these as you're going, the duration is about 2 to 4 minutes of engagement, but we cannot have anything that's violent, nothing that describes sexuality, nothing with minors, things like that. So you pretty much can build whatever you want, but there are some guardrails that we have to put on this because, again, this is a publicly sponsored and supported game effort. Players have to be 18 years or older. And let's see, the GameJolt deadline is midnight on Sunday, August 9th. So you've got to have your hashtag submitted by then. The choreography for this after that will be the lottery representatives, the ETHDenver representatives, and the other Web3 participants. The judges will be reviewing these basically all day on Monday. And then we will have a closing ceremonies announced here shortly, if we haven't already done it, which I think we have, for Monday evening, where we will host demos and announce the winners and possibly what's next for the GameJam series. Excuse me, I've got my sister's cat meowing in my back pocket right here. We will be the top 3 winners of the GameJam will have their projects move into the next stage. Now let's be clear about what actually happens here. So we've had a lot of questions about this. We cannot unfortunately guarantee that your project will be a part of the Colorado gaming and the lottery system, but they will move into a consumer like testing phase, like a player testing phase and research phase to evaluate like the real sort of, chops that these games might have. Now it's entirely plausible and the goal is to do that. So don't think that this is just a fishing expedition. There is absolutely intention of doing it, but there are some processes that have to happen in order for that to go down over a long period or over a little bit longer period of time than just immediately. All right. All right. One thing about this, ETHDenver, everybody knows that we are an inclusive organization. So be cool. Hey, you too. So racism, sexism, misogynistic, talking points, just be respectful of those around you. In the virtual world, it's a little bit easier because we're not just rubbing elbows all the time, but we, any sort of prejudice of any kind, any sort of like just unnecessary banter will not be tolerated. If we do have any issues with that, it is part of your agreement and it is part of the tools or the rules and waiver. If you do violate them, then you will be cordially asked to leave the event and you will not qualify any longer for prizes or anything like that. So we really want to make sure that this event is accessible to everyone and that everyone has the ability to share openly and creatively and build and be very productive about their contribution. And we expect that as just a basic set of decorum from everybody that participates in the Game Jam. All right, so I think I've covered about everything about how it works. We are on, we are paying attention to the Discords. We are here and around. If you have any additional questions, feel free to ask them. I'm going to ask my co-founder, Justin Moskowitz, if I've missed anything or if he has anything he wants to contribute. Justin?
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys? So one of the big things that I wanted to mention is we do have a contest that we're kicking off. So this is a Twitter contest, and it was just an idea we had to get people a little more involved, just because we are all in different locations. Sometimes it doesn't feel like we're together, but we thought if you could post a daily update on Twitter, we better make it worth your while to do so. So 3 people every day are going to win a $50 gift card, just randomly selected if you post with the hashtag CO Lottery Game Jam. And then if you post every day of the jam, we'll give you one that you can miss. But if you post just about every day of the jam, we are also happy to announce that we're gonna have some flight tickets from Frontier Airlines that are gonna help you come experience Denver. So make sure that you post every day. Details are on just that main landing page in the Get Involved section. And otherwise, we look forward to having you guys submit some awesome projects and let us know how we can help in the Discord.
These are all one-way tickets, right? They're moving here is what we're doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, so our friends at Frontier Airlines have been very gracious about offering round-trip tickets to come and experience Colorado. So for those of you that are willing to get on an airplane right now, and I think you'll be able to use them into the future, so even when things calm down, Colorado is opening its arms to, the best and brightest. So if you've got interest in the outdoors, if you've got interest in sort of getting away from a little bit of the kind of East Coast, West Coast sort of craziness at times, no disrespect to any of those locations, but Colorado is a great place to come hunker down and experience the outdoors. So like we're very grateful to the support from Frontier Airlines for sponsoring this competition. So really what this is about is just, share what you're doing, share your experience with the Game Jam. We're going to be giving away incentives to do it, but like this is a really good opportunity to kind of show how our virtual community is really engaging with each other and experiencing each other. So again, the hashtag is CO Lottery Game Jam. And if you put that in your Twitter, we'll be tracking that and then randomly selecting winners based on the criteria. So thanks for that, Justin. Appreciate it. Justin, anything else? And yes, the question from Daniel is, does the Twitter thing start today? Yes, the Twitter contest starts today. So start your tweets now. You know, share your experience and your insights on the opening ceremonies and kind of your thoughts on the GameJam and the Colorado State collaboration with this sort of, you know, futuristic view of innovation and crowdsourcing of creativity. It's a really big initiative. This is a really big deal for those of you that haven't picked up on that yet, but to have a state government that's this open and willing to really experiment with new ways of thinking about things. And as Lou said earlier, reimagining the way that we engage in these types of things. Just go at it, go have some fun. Justin, anything else before I introduce our friend from Chainlink?
So I just saw a question pop up. Do we tag our team name for the Twitter contest? So actually, each member of your team is eligible to win. So literally, your whole team could post, and if it happens to be that you're the only people who posted that day, then you win. But I think we'll see, hopefully we'll see a lot more posts than just single team posting, but yeah, look forward to it.
So Yaprok is the co-founder of GameJolt. So the platform that we're using for our GameJam, GameJolt, is actually got some Colorado roots, and she's going to talk a little bit about GameJolt itself, why she's partnering and supporting the GameJam for the Colorado Lottery, and then a little bit about Colorado and how she feels about that. So Yaprok, with that, I'm going to turn the time to you.
Thank you so much for having me and putting this awesome event together. I used to live in Colorado, actually. The goal was to just move there for about 6 months to enjoy the mountains, and I ended up staying for years. So pretty sad when I had to leave. But my name is Yaprok Carmine. I'm the co-founder and CEO of GameJolt. GameJolt is a platform for people to build and join meaningful communities around video games. We have built GameJolt to help independent creators grow audiences around their games while developing their games, so that when they're ready to launch or announce their Kickstarter campaigns, they actually have people to announce to. So as of today, we've had over 140 million people find their way onto our platform to play, follow, and talk about games. We have over 130,000 playable games made by individual people like you, and as well as studios with millions of dollars in revenue. So I'm happy to help out with the GameJam this year. Thank you for letting us be a part of the opening ceremony as well. It's super exciting. But yeah, I'm here to talk about GameJam, so let's get started. Through GameJolt, we've hosted hundreds, if not thousands, of jams to date. I've run some of the biggest jams in the world with the biggest influencers in the world. So if you're new to the world of game jams, I'd like to welcome you and give you a brief explanation of what they are. So a game jam is an event where participants gather online or pre-COVID physically to make games in a limited period of time. Sometimes this can be 48 hours, a few days, a week, and I've even seen jams lasting a full month. A lot of jams are built around a particular theme that is revealed at the start of the event. So in our case, the theme is monitor games. You can join a game jam by yourself, or you could find artists, programmers, audio people as teammates in communities like GameJolt and Discord. So we do have a community set up on GameJolt for this jam, so be sure to check in to find teammates there. Or you can also use the Discord as well, so it sounds like that's also set up. But yeah, game jams are a lot of fun because they allow people to experiment with different engines, game mechanics, and artistic styles. Many games actually start out as concepts in jams and then continue in development for a full release years later. And sometimes developers just need a break from the massive game they're working on and instead work on something new, right? So they might want to try a new language or engine, so creating a short game is the perfect outlet for experimenting and learning something new. As for participation tips in a jam, I would advise you to just come up with a small enough idea or concept for a game that you can actually finish within the window of time that you're given, right? So jams are not the place to make that dream game you've always wanted to make. That game will take you years to develop. So instead, you know, come up with something fun that fits well within the theme of the jam. Another tip is to keep your team sizes reasonable and spend enough time planning out your game and assigning roles. So find a great medium for real-time communication like Discord or Slack that everyone on your team has access to. You can share your progress on your Game Jolt page as well as Twitter. Our users love images and videos. You can run polls and get feedback from real gamers as you're actually, you know, working on the game, which is kind of fun. And then when you're ready, you know, to upload the game, make sure you give yourself enough time, right? Give yourself enough time to upload the game, but also to play test it as well. And I guess my last piece of advice is, you know, remember that game jams are a social event. So be sure to connect with the organizers, but also other participants. So look at this as like a great way to, you know, network and find people that you can actually work with, and maybe you'll work with them, you know, down the road on a commercial game as well. So as a founder, I'm very grateful for the meaningful relationships and connections I've made in the games communities in Colorado. So there's some really great people there. I know Serenity Forge is here. He heads up like some of the, you know, best community Slacks and IGDA groups. So definitely get involved in those. They've led me to partnerships for Game Jolt, speaking gigs at events, and, you know, some of my best friends. So I can't think of a better state, honestly, to be the next big thing in gaming and tech than Colorado. And I can't wait to meet that.
Thank you, Yaprak. That's fabulous insight and great wisdom. I mean, if anybody knows about game jams, it's you. So thank you for your contributions and your support and all of your insights. We really do appreciate it. And maybe we can get you an airline ticket to come back.
Please, I would love to come back.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to move on to IGT. So Tyson from IGT, he's an account director. So they're a global leader in gaming and works with the lottery to develop the games and build responsible gaming experience for our Colorado lottery game players. So with that, I'm going to let Tyson talk a little bit about what they're looking for in a winner. He'll be part of the judging crew, of course. They work very closely with the lottery and the game development. So Tyson, do you want to go ahead and take that away?
Yeah, thank you, John. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for putting us on, for organizing this tonight, and especially the Game Jam in general. I think Tom covered a lot of important points with what we're trying to do here. The lottery industry can be a little bit foreign to some people who haven't played before, but the bottom line is it's a very fun industry. And even more important, that it goes to some great beneficiaries across the whole country, specifically here in Colorado, for all the great outdoor stuff that I think so many of us enjoy. So again, thank you. I want to thank Tom and his staff. I want to thank Lou, the state, and also the governor for including us. I won't go on too much about what IGT does. We're a little bit the magic behind the curtain. We provide lottery and casino technology across the world. We've been a partner with Colorado Lottery in one capacity or another for going on 25, 30 years. And what we do is supply all the technology that various lotteries need. So in Colorado here, we have a data center, but there's a vastness to what we provide. There's the technology, but then it also comes more to what we're talking about tonight with regard to game development, innovation, things like that. And speaking for the industry as a whole, Tom's exactly right. The innovation has never been more important in the industry. And Tom's done a great job of leading this lottery to say we have to really think outside the box, because lottery products, it's a very mature market. You know, Powerball specifically is one of the strongest brands in the country, but it's also been around a long time. So Tom is really, again, trying to think outside of the box and get his staff to do so, and we want to be partners in that. That said, when he first presented this idea to me as something we want to do in combination with some potential monitor plans, I think I looked at him like he had three heads. Hadn't heard what a hackathon is or a game jam for that matter, but it's great. I think it's going to be awesome. I want to kind of go at it from the angle of, again, speaking from the lottery industry, I think make a few recommendations for our developers and have some ideas. But the main thing is really, anything with it, as long as it's within the rules, really try and test the boundaries a little bit on ideas as far as creativity. Some of the other things I'll say is you have to play a little bit of both sides from the standpoint of saying it also has to be a little bit easy to understand. One of the challenges we often face with launching new games in any lottery is explaining to players what it means. As simple as drawing 6 balls, example for Powerball or Mega Millions, others seem simple. It really can be confusing. So I'd encourage people to try and make it as simple as possible. Obviously very exciting, but it's something our retailers, both current and future, are gonna have to explain to players, and we wanna make sure it's simple to understand. But this is a whole new realm. I think we're trying to reach a new market here, both demographically, age-wise, but also just with the new types of retailers we're looking to add in with regard to monitor games. It's more of a game that lends itself to bars, restaurants, where people tend to linger longer versus in and out of a convenience store or grocery store where they're just getting their items and leaving. So those are some of the things I'll say as far as just thinking outside of the box. That I think this is going to be great. Just I would encourage people to go research the current games in Colorado if you haven't played. Some of the games we have in Colorado, of course, are the same elsewhere. Powerball is offered in a lot of states, so is Mega Millions. But really go look and see wherever you might be in whatever your state is. Go into a store and say, okay, what are the games? How many numbers are drawn? When is it drawn? Things like that. A lot of the games currently are drawn only on certain days of the week. We're looking at something a little more frequently, under 10 minutes. It kind of keeps people engaged, so keep that in mind as well. But my point is that's a good starting point. Say, let's do something different than we're seeing in the States with the current projects, and let's expand on that. So I'd encourage people to do that. So other things is, I think everything's been covered. I'm excited to see what happens with this. Again, IGT is a huge company. There's a lot of people, even with our company, seeing how this is going to go. This is a brand new approach to something like this. But I think it's going to be great, and I'm very excited to see what happens. So appreciate it again. And with that, John, I guess I'll hand it back over to you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Thank you, Tyson. We're stoked to have you as a partnership, and it's going to be really cool and interesting to see just what everybody comes up with. I think that's the curiosity that we all have, and what's so great about this sort of open source of creativity is that, I mean, we have no idea what we're going to see at this point, and it's going to be really cool to see. So thank you for that. Now you mentioned like sort of the innovation. So with that, I'm going to sort of move to this next. The approaches, the innovation. Everything that we've done here is really about sort of advancing that narrative. And our next speaker, Sergey Nazarov from Chainlink, is the co-founder of Chainlink, and our efforts at ETHDenver are about sort of bringing this new sort of emerging technology to the real world, right? So this GameJam is a great example of the willingness of the state governments and just the lottery and just technologists to really be kind of paying attention to not just game and development ideas, but also methods of delivering these systems, and really being open to like how these things kind of come down. So with that, I'm going to introduce Sergey Nazarov. He's going to speak to us a little bit about Chainlink's involvement in the GameJam, as well as sort of what they're kind of looking for when it comes to game submissions, and then just some insights about the partnership here. So Sergey, take it away.
Great. Thank you very much, John. Hi, everyone. Good to see you again. Thank you once again for including us in your event. I think it's very exciting to see people that control so much value wanting to innovate and make the systems they rely on work in the best possible way for their constituents and users. So I think that's a great thing. And it makes me think very great things about Colorado as well, which I've been a few times and I'm a huge fan of. I'm just going to kind of share my screen a little bit, because I have 1 or 2 quick points to cover on certain concepts that might be useful here. So I think the first concept that we need to look at when we're thinking about innovation in digital gaming and lotteries and all kinds of gaming is to maybe consider initially what is a digital game and a lottery that's provided in a digital format. really it's kind of an agreement. So it's a digitally formalized agreement about outcomes, right? People put in money, they take certain risk, they expect to take a measure of risk and get a measure of return in some manner that is guaranteed, basically. And the assumptions around those guarantees are very important because the degree to which people participate is driven by the degree to which they think they can win. So if they think the game is unwinnable or they think the game can't be won, their participation is much less likely. And this is maybe the place where blockchains and the work we do at Chainlink can help innovate and provide greater assurances to users so that their participation can be greater. And that's really kind of the dynamic that we want to help bring to this event and put in the minds of people that are building these types of games. So I think one way to look at this is if you consider how digital contracts work today, right now they work in a technology company, some kind of centralized platform that runs a contract. And that contract can be a lottery contract and a gaming contract where I'm guaranteeing, I promise that the contract code will operate properly, right? And I am saying that the contract code will operate a certain way. And in many cases that can work, but in certain cases that creates conflicts of interest, it creates risk. And every incremental addition of risk that basically says that a certain outcome that the user expects to achieve won't happen, maybe limits their participation, limits the success of that gaming product, right? So this is how traditionally digital agreements about gaming have happened, is there's a centralized software company that generates that digital agreement and seeks to see it through to completion by running the code. The world that I think we're moving to with all kinds of financial contracts, including gaming contracts, is a world where blockchains and decentralized blockchain-based infrastructure effectively eliminates these risks. So the risk that the creator of the game or somebody running the infrastructure to operate the game is somehow able to manipulate that game. And this is the risk that maybe some users don't think about, but I know there are certain users that consider this risk in how they assess using a gaming product from our own experience working with various gaming products and how they want to approach their users. Now, blockchain-based gaming is often touted as being fraud-proof and tamper-proof, just like blockchains are being touted as being tamper-proof and highly reliable. And I think this is really the dynamic from which we can provide certain innovation and improvements to how the gaming infrastructure works. And we can also rely on, together with us, other systems like Ethereum and many other great protocols and products that allow people to run smart contracts. So I think we're going to be looking at examples where somebody could take a smart contract, put it on Ethereum, and how does that smart contract on Ethereum create a properly functioning lottery product, gaming product, right? How do those things happen? So the good news is that initially you do have a guarantee from the smart contract that as long as it receives the relevant inputs, as long as it is triggered the right way, that it will do a state change and actually pay out the appropriate winner. So you're guaranteed by systems like Ethereum that if you write a contract in a certain way, its outcome will be enforced. It'll be mathematically enforced by physics. It won't depend on a company. It'll depend on infrastructure that's highly reliable and efficient and can provide this guarantee to the underlying players of the game. The issue starts to appear in that the games we're talking about here, even in this hackathon, are not limited to just a state change. They also need randomness, right? So you actually have a dynamic where you need a random number generator. You need to provide randomness into the smart contract running on a system like Ethereum, at least today, right? At least today, that's kind of the dynamic of what blockchains can do and what they need to do to have a gaming dynamic work at a hackathon like this. The worry here is once again the same, right? You basically have a decentralized computational platform where the contract can operate, but now you have an equally important part of the system in the case of a random number generation service. And now the question becomes, who runs the random number generation service? Who runs the random number generator that's going to essentially control the outcome of the contract, right? So you've decentralized and made highly reliable a portion of the contract, but also you still have a portion that isn't decentralized and highly reliable yet, at least until you have randomness appearing on blockchains, which may be coming. but at least at the moment, you still need a random number generator. So the fundamental issue you're trying to avoid is just like you were worried about a centralized operator of the gaming product or the software that runs the game, you're now seeking to get that same guarantee about the random number generator that's triggering and affecting what ends up happening with the gaming product, right? And this is the innovation, and the thing that Chainlink basically works on and provides is an additional layer of decentralized computation, an additional system like a blockchain, but not a blockchain in the sense that it isn't focused on generating blocks or transactions. It's focused on, in this case, providing randomness. So the exciting thing that we can provide to this hackathon and the developers here is that if they're making a gaming product, a lottery product, they can generate it in a way that it's truly decentralized and provably tamper-proof, so that players can have a maximum degree of guarantees that the gaming and the lottery product they're interacting with will indeed give them the payout according to the fair terms that were advertised to them, which should, economically speaking, increase the usage of the gaming product, increase the usage of the lottery, and make it more attractive to more users, because it's something where they can't get tricked, they can't get gamed. They're going to participate in a gaming contract under predictable and clear terms. We are very glad to support the hackathon through prizes. So we have Chainlink Web3 prizes, where you kind of make this more advanced gaming lottery product. Those prizes are first, second, and third place, 5,000, 2,500, and 1,000. One of the key conditions to meet getting these prizes is you have to meet the conditions of the GameJam hackathon itself. So you first have to meet the conditions of the GameJam hackathon, and then if you use Chainlink VRF, if you build a smart contract on Ethereum that essentially represents a gaming product, a lottery, that uses the Chainlink VRF system in a creative, attractive way, or operates in a unique way in how it interacts with Chainlink VRF. So there's actually an interesting dynamic where you can submit a seed, and the seed improves the security of the Chainlink VRF system. So perhaps coming up with an interesting way to provide highly secure seeds. At the end of the day, we're thrilled to support institutions and places that want to make the best games. We believe in tamper-proof and fraud-proof gaming that's fair and attractive to all the players in the same fair way. And we're thrilled to support this hackathon, provide this resource to the participants. We will have office hours available on all the days of the hackathon. We will have a channel open for people to ask questions. How can I build a fraud-proof, smart contract-based gaming product? How can I integrate proper randomness into that gaming product in order to have it operate the way it should? And obviously, there's also a lot of documentation that we provide. So once again, we're thrilled to be part of this and really appreciate being included, and think that this direction of how do we make the most innovative gaming products that protect users and make the best possible gaming product available to them in a tamper-proof way is a worthwhile, very exciting endeavor. So I just want to once again say we're thrilled to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergey. Thanks again for all of your team support and the support of Colorado, the support for ETHDenver. It's been a great partnership, and we look forward to doing even more with you in the future. So thank you for coming, and thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You got it. So with that, we're going to move on to the founder of the Ethereum protocol. His name is Vitalik Buterin. He's been a friend of the ETHDenver effort for some time, and obviously is very interested in lots of different developments that might be happening. So when we originally invited Vitalik to come and read the B is for Bufficorn book with the governor at ETHDenver 2020, one of the things that we were talking about is sort of the curiosity around, wow, this is, you know, an actual state government interested in doing something innovative. Yeah, so as we've sort of talked about it over the time, even since ETHDenver, there's, you know, some intrigue here, and there's a lot of really great partnership opportunity vectors, and we're so grateful to have Vitalik come and spend a little time with us and give us his insights on why this is such an interesting and an important formation of opportunity for just the future of all of these efforts technologically that we've got going on. So with that, I'd like to introduce Vitalik Buterin, the founder of the Ethereum and the inventor of the Ethereum protocol. Vitalik, go ahead and take it away, man.
Thank you, and it's good to be here. Good to see you again, John. We're good to
Likewise.
it's good to see Colorado friends again virtually. So I think kind of what brings us together here is a couple of things, right? So I think kind of the blockchain community and which the Ethereum community is obviously part of, and many people in the state of Colorado are basically both trying to kind of see if we can come up with ways to kind of upgrade our community infrastructure to satisfy the needs of the internet age, right? And the internet has obviously brought a lot of changes to society, a lot of changes to the world, a lot of kind of new things become possible with the internet. There's a lot of new challenges, and I know that Colorado, the state of Colorado, for example, has been very interested in looking at kind of more radical new approaches at things like governance and at things like community organization. So, for example, I know that the Democratic Party has used quadratic voting as a mechanism for decision making. We have a local community that's been trying to do quadratic funding for some businesses in downtown in Boulder. And so there's a lot of these interesting experiments, right? And ultimately, kind of these kinds of experiments are in many ways what the Ethereum community is all about, right? The Ethereum community is all about trying to see, can we use blockchains plus other things and whatever makes sense in each use case to try to see if we can come up with better ways to basically help groups of people cooperate. And that's something that people have done kind of through the blockchain itself, through smart contracts, through kind of DAOs in some cases, even through things like some of these technologies to allow for more kind of trust minimized interaction. So kind of even just secure randomness is one really good example of this in one very particular field. And these are things that are very important, right? And I think people are kind of realizing that kind of the way that our economy works right now is ultimately kind of as kind of the usual quote goes, kind of Paleolithic humans with medieval institutions with modern super technology, right? And so if we can kind of see if we can take some of their new super technology we've invented in the last couple of decades and actually help people kind of work together in deeper ways at scale, then that's the sort of the sort of thing that's kind of completely in the Ethereum community's vision, right? And things like supporting public goods development is something that's very close to the Ethereum community's heart, just because in the Ethereum community, as in many other in all free software communities, just about everything is a public good. You write a piece of code and you publish it. It's not really owned by anyone. That's just something that you've kind of released and put out there, and anyone can go and download it. If I write a blog post, everyone in the world can go read it. And so we are kind of interacting with each other and cooperating and benefiting each other at these kind of very large and unprecedented scales. And we just need to have kind of better infrastructure to organize and encourage those kinds of things. So very happy to see, or excited to see what kinds of things people come up with in this hackathon, and hope that these are things that people will kind of not stop here and just continue working on for a long time.
Thank you, Vitalik, for taking the time. We look forward to getting you back out here to Colorado and unpacking even more opportunities as they come up. So we appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing how these things go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to visiting Colorado too.
Thank you for your time, Vitalik. We're going to move on in the program to Z Yang, who is the founder and CEO of Serenity Forge, also a big fixture in the game development scene here in Colorado. And really, he's going to talk a little bit about how developing games in Colorado has been a dream, and like how, we're really trying to create more and more inertia around that. So Z, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, John. Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Z. I am the founder and executive producer at Serenity Forge. I also happen to be the chair for the International Game Developers Association here in or Colorado, I suppose, the chapter here. So yeah, I mean, I've been kind of pretty much a Boulder native for the past however long, and like what, 20 years at this point. And it's just been an absolute journey to get here. Honestly, to kind of long story short, when I was 18 years old, I was diagnosed with a severe and fatal illness that caused me to be hospitalized for 2 years. And it was a really, really difficult time where, as a young, 18-year-old kid, being trapped in a hospital, you didn't really have a lot of choices into, choosing what you want to do later on in life, especially. But instead of, jumping into that despair, I decided to pick up a lot of video games, started playing all sorts of games, single player games where it made me feel like I was a hero saving the world, or multiplayer games where I got to meet people from all around the world, and games like League of Legends or Minecraft. And eventually, miraculously, I started getting better, and by the time I was 21 years old, I managed to kind of transfer back to CU Boulder at the time and kind of continue my education in finance. But I can't help but think back to the fact that, like these games that I played while I was in the hospital, they're not really designed to help me, but in the end, they essentially saved my life. Why not start making video games with intention to help other people? What kind of power can we unlock when we do that? So I started Serenity Forge while I was in college as a freshman. I made my first game, which was a non-fictional visual novel based on my own illness, and it ended up getting played by tons of people around the world. One particular fan wrote me a letter saying that they were struggling with depression and was planning to take his own life, but he came across the game and it motivated him so much he actually decided to put a stop to his plans. And as a freshman in college, I looked at that situation going like, wow, like maybe I did not become a millionaire overnight by making this game, but I might have just saved someone's life. Like, why don't we keep doing this? I was super lucky to have met a lot of great mentors along the way, working at CU Boulder and just interacting with the community here. By the time I was a senior in college, I already had 6 full-time employees, just kind of working out of a basement, working on educational games, doing all sorts of stuff. And nowadays, we're a handful of dozen of folks here in Boulder, just creating meaningful artistic games that really challenge the way that people think, on devices, on consoles and PC, and of course mobile as well. So really looking back at it, like running IGDA here as well, Colorado has a very just a very welcoming culture when it comes to game developers. We welcome new folks with open arms, and we run amazing game jams such as this one, and it's just so unique compared to the rest of the world. If you travel around and look at the other parts of the game industry, where it's very much a sink or swim type of scenario, whereas looking at the past decade, folks like Justin and Yaprok and Josh, like we have created these environments in Colorado that really facilitate creativity and just fosters that type of friendship. And I think that's what really Colorado kind of stands out on compared to the rest of the world, essentially, especially in this really difficult climate right now, like COVID. A company like Serenity Forge, if it wasn't for the support that we have from the community and also just the support that we have for each other here in the company, there's no way that we would have been able to kind of like survive all this turbulence over so many years. So yeah, I mean, I know that things are running short, so I'm talking as quickly as possible here. But with that said, thank you so much for having me. I think it is absolute dream to kind of build the game industry here at Colorado, and we're working hard to make it happen. And hopefully all the people here dedicated to Colorado and this game jam really proves that this is absolutely our goal. So yeah, thank you so much, and yeah, I'm really glad to be here. Hope you guys enjoy the jam.
And you're hiring too, right, Z?
Yeah, that's right. If you are a game developer that is looking for a job, we're actually massively hiring right now. We just locked down some major projects, so we're having some serious periods of growth coming up in the next couple of years. So definitely go to our website, serenityforge.com/jobs, to apply and check out some of our open positions.
Thanks for coming, Z. We really appreciate you, and thanks for sharing your story. And it's such a great testament to like just the vivaciousness and just the creativity that's already happening here, and that's really what we're trying to build on. So like, thank you for sharing that. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You got it. So we're going to move on to Josh Chapman, who is a managing partner, a managing partner at Convoy Ventures. So there's only about 20 firms internationally that specialize in esports and gaming, and one of them happens to be in Colorado. So Josh is a leader in the space and is always looking for interesting opportunities and wants to support the development of not only the Colorado ecosystem, but just really the next wave of creativity in gaming and in virtual engagement in esports. So with that, Josh, you want to go ahead and take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me. Really, this has been a great kind of opening ceremony and learning a lot from all of you. So first off, thank you for having me. As a little background on myself, I grew up primarily in Africa, Latin America, and Asia. The son of a US diplomat and moved every 2 years. Grew up playing a lot of video games. It was a key part of like my social experience alongside sports. Then had a career in New York prior to moving to Colorado and was working at BlackRock and Morgan Stanley. And then decided I wanted to do my own thing. And in the process of trying to do my own thing, I wanted to merge my passion for video gaming with my professional training in finance and investing. And so that kind of married really well with launching a venture capital firm focused on investing exclusively into the video gaming and esports industry. That was about 4 years ago, and now we're here based in Colorado. When I was starting my own thing, with all the risk of being an entrepreneur, I decided I wanted to do it in a place that I wanted to live long term, and that was Colorado. I love this state. I'm definitely new to this state. I'm not from this state whatsoever. But I plan to make it my home for the long run. And so, you know, a big reason why, like, we kind of look at why I picked, you know, Colorado is not only one of the most accelerating economies and places for technology and investing, but it's also kind of a center for lots of innovation, which video gaming is oftentimes a leader in. So lots of video gaming technology is leveraged not only in video gaming for entertainment, but also outside of that for lots of other industries. And so that applies to enterprise and humanitarian efforts, social, and of course, certainly things like the lottery and fostering community globally. So as a firm, Convoy Ventures is a venture capital firm headquartered here in Denver, and we also have a partner in New York City. And we invest across seed and Series A companies, primarily across platforms, infrastructure, technologies. And so a lot of the topics on this brought up today are actually very interesting because it's about building infrastructure that leverages the talent in video gaming for fostering community and pushing the economy forward here in Colorado. And that is something I feel personally incredibly passionate about, and I'm excited to play one small part in. A couple comments around what's happening in the industry. You know, COVID has been quite interesting for this industry. It's kind of worked as like almost an adrenaline shot to the video gaming industry. Video gaming on PC is up 25%. Twitch viewership is up 61%. In-app purchases on mobile are up over 30%. This industry is really moving forward and not only doing well financially, but it's also helping foster social connections in a socially distant world. And that is something we are loved seeing in our portfolio with the founders we back, but also the founders we're meeting. And so things that kind of bring you guys building games, building things that foster community and acceleration and even economic prosperity, like that's incredible, fantastic, and something that, you know, we're here at Convoy very excited to continue to invest in and help build. We're here for the long term would be my final comment kind of here, but, you know, planning to build this firm out of Denver. You know, I love the strategic position it is in North America, the international access it has globally. And it's really an incredible place to build a firm, and we're excited to be here. So thank you guys for having me. We're thrilled to be here, and excited to keep doing these year in, year out.
Great. Thank you so much for the contribution and your willingness to invest in the state. And, you know, the entrepreneurial journey in VC is not that easy either. So like if anybody has any doubts about how hard it is to do what you guys have built, you know, they need to come and talk to you a little bit about that, because well done. And we look forward to seeing your your firm and your investments grow and the vibrancy of the entire gaming and esports community in Colorado grow due to your efforts. So thank you for that.
Thanks, John.
You got it. All right, so that wraps up the content portion of our event here. So now due to time constraints, we're gonna restrict the Q&A to 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna wrap up with just a couple of quick words. There is a Q&A function in the webinar series here. If you go to the Q&A function, you can ask a question, and we will direct the question to the right individual, or we will answer it here on live stream right now. So the first question that's popped in is from Daniel. Target payout is 65% of each game round's betting pool, or is that 65% chance of getting a payout at any given play? So Tom or Tyson, do one of you want to take that?
You bet. That's a good question. The 65% is around the payout. It's not the chances on any one given play. Those are more characterized as odds. So the odds, we like to think about the odds as if you play it, you know, how many times would you play it on average before you would have a winning experience? That's more about the odds. The payout is based on, if we take in $100, how many dollars are we going to pay back to the player? So odds and payout, that's how I would think about those two things.
Thank you. Hopefully that answers your question, Daniel. We'll move to the next one, which is from Drew Anderson. Will the winners be given the opportunity to work on the continued development of the project they worked on? So Tyson and Tom, I think that's also a good question for you.
It's TBD. This is something I wanted to cover before on what I was talking about. Really where IGT comes in is where the rubber meets the road and saying, okay, we've got a great concept here. Let's look at to see just that. What is a concept? What do you do with it? And then also the back end on the technical side, what does the coding look like? Obviously, being in a company of our size, we do have proprietary code, things like that, but we write in languages such as C++. So I'll say this, we'll look at the ideas, we'll look at the code. We typically just take it over. That's literally what we do with a lot of our customers and the contracts that we have. So it's a conversation that can be ongoing. We have internship programs, things like that at a corporate level, so it could be in that capacity. So that one's a little hard to answer right now, but I like the question. I like where it's going to say, you know, this is obviously a new realm for a lot of people that are on here, but yeah, we typically do that to in-house and also some third party, but we can chat with that, and Tom and I can have that conversation.
Yeah, I would just add that, you know, we really don't know what we're going to get. I think that's part of the fun of this is, you know, we could see a concept, and when we start doing the evaluation of it, it could look like a really, really promising idea, but we would need to maybe drill down a little bit with the creators to find out, you know, what they were thinking about with a play style, or what they were thinking about with, you know, a winning action or whatever. There's so many variables that until we see the actual concepts themselves, it's going to be really hard to say how much more follow-up and how much more kind of explanation we're going to need from the creator. So yeah, I agree with Tyson, but I also would say that, you know, there's a pretty good chance that we'll have follow-up questions and dialogue that we'll have to, you know, have to follow through before we can go on to the next step.
So I'll add one thing in my conversations with you, Tom, and with your team. If I was to frame in this just you know, a little bit slightly differently, I would say we've agreed that we all understand that the projects that we get are going to be, you know, not half-baked, but they're going to be proofs of concept and sort of early development in large part. And I think that what I've noticed is the willingness from your team to sort of keep it open. Like, I think what you said about we don't know what we're going to get is true. So I think that what we had to do is create some base frame of engagement. Like, here's the rules, but there's a lot of flexibility in that depending on what comes up.
Absolutely. You know, we didn't want to put too tight of a fence around this because we don't want to discourage people from bringing their best ideas. And, you know, let's see what we get, and then let's see how much more exploration or how much more elaboration we have to do with the creator.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next question. So just remember, there's a chat function and a Q&A function. Please put your questions in the Q&A function, but I did see that there is a question that popped in first into the chat. So what are the odds of submission? Can you make a game with any chance of winning?
Could you kind of restate that question?
Sure. What are the odds of submission? I'm not sure exactly what that means, but can you make a game with any chance of winning? So in other words, when you talked about odds versus payout, can they make any odds of winning?
Yeah, we're not going to dictate what the odds of winning are. I think what you start getting into with the math is that you can't make every play a winner, or no one wins anything. So you kind of have to balance the payout with the odds of winning. And but no, we're not going to impose, it has to be roughly 1 in 4 or roughly 1 in 10. No, we want to hear different approaches to winnability. It's a big challenge in our industry, balancing off having a significant enough prize with giving people enough winning experiences. So that's part of what we're looking for, is new perspectives on that and new ideas about how to fulfill people's expectations.
Thanks, Tom. So we have a similar question. I think we may have just answered it. Now that you've clarified the difference between payout and odds, is there a target percentage of odds that you're looking in the game submission with 50-50 odds? So I think we've just answered that. So we're not going to dictate the odds that you need to do. So use that in consideration with the payouts and obviously creating a game that's sort of multi-dimensional and beneficial for everyone. So I think that's good there. So next question is it okay if we choose not to use Web3 code if we choose to focus on Web2 instead? So Lou Cordova is going to answer this one. So go ahead, Lou.
Well, my understanding is that you can use Web2, but you wouldn't qualify for a second round from Chainlink of the second prize.
The sort of bonus prizes, yeah.
Bonus prizes. So the prize, the top prize is $10,000. There's a second set that the top prize is $5,000, but you have to use Web3 for that. So
right.
If you did use Web3, you could, if you were the total winner of everything, you could win up to $15,000. But those are separable things. To get the Web3 prizes, I believe you just have to qualify. So you have to submit, it has to be qualified. But if you also use Web3, you can qualify for more prizes. Do I have that right, John?
You do. You do have that correct. So yes. So just one point of clarification here. This is the merging of two worlds. We're not just looking for Web3, fully decentralized applications. That's not at all what this is about. The first and foremost priority is really the idea generation and crowdsourcing of creativity around a new game. Now, how you execute the game and what code you use to build the game is entirely up to you, and we're not going to stifle your creativity. However, I will say the more you do and the more you can provide as far as a full comprehensive gaming experience, and also venturing into some of these Web3 techniques and sort of things that Sergey talked about on his talk, I mean, it's going to win you some bonus points, but focus on the gameplay first. That's what Lou means when she says you have to qualify. You do have to make a submission to the lottery GameJam for a lottery proposed game, not just provable fairness tech, right? Like we're not just looking for that. We're looking for a fully demoable game. Okay. So thank you, Lou, for your contribution there.
And John, I would even say that the most important thing is the idea, what that is, it's the idea. You can work on how to make it fraud proof later, how to do different things, how the mechanics of it works. But yes, a demo of your idea is first and foremost, and worry about the deep mechanics, after that.
Fair enough. All right, next question. Can I make a game that's meant for a touchscreen that allows constant swipes and multi-touch? Or is it supposed to be that you just pick one thing at the start and don't interact until it's over? So, I'll just say this. We're not looking for you to do anything particularly. We're trying to make sure that we keep the fields of creativity open. But Tom, do you want to speak to that at all on sort of any simple hints? But I know that you guys are judging on a very open criteria, so you're not looking for any sort of specific vector on this, but go ahead.
Right. So I would say don't restrict your creativity on this, because as we mentioned earlier, even though we're focused primarily on a monitor game platform for now, There are other ways that we can play. The monitors that we're going to start out with probably won't have that functionality, and I'll look to Tyson to jump in at any point. But I wouldn't let that be something that, you know, completely shuts off your flow. Think about the game. Think about the game and how to win and how to play. Let us worry about the technology.
And how to deliver it, yeah.
But also keep in mind that to the point that you are swiping right, left, whatever you're doing things, it still has to be a game of chance. So if your ability to swipe faster or do something different changes the odds, then it's no longer a game of chance. So that's just a caution that a lot of times the interaction implies a skill level can be increasing, and then it no longer becomes a game of chance.
Yeah, if I could say something, Lou, it's a great point. I will say is if you're doing something that does not change the odds of the game or the outcome or anything like that, I say go for it. You know, we have certainly, you know, there's some self-service terminals that we use. There's other, you know, typical games where you run a place up, things like that. But for the purposes of this effort, I say, again, as long as it doesn't, you know, impact this, you know, not being skill-based, go for it. Let's see what you got. So hopefully that answers that.
Yeah, just one more point from me. You know, in the lottery world, we've typically developed the technology first and then fit games into that technology. One of the things I'm excited about with this is we could actually have a game that if it comes out to be so good, we'll take the game and then fit the delivery mechanism to the game. You know, we're going to flip over the typical development mindset. If we come out of this with some kind of game that just, you know, blows people's minds and tests great and just delivers an experience that lottery players have been looking for, we'll figure out a way to bring it to market. That's what I really want to impress upon people.
Yeah, it's a great point. And thank you, Tom. I in talking with your team, what I really love about this collaboration is I'll say it again, you know, to have that willingness to kind of step out into experimentation and just really be honoring and rewarding to creativity is a huge boon for this competition. So don't feel like you're constrained. I mean, as Tom and Tyson have said, like, go for it. You know, don't let it constrain you. Like, if you've got some interesting things to do, then do it. But I think the point about the game of chance is really important. So if you don't understand, if you don't know the difference between game of chance and game of skill, that's a really important distinction to make. So game of chance have fixed odds. Game of skill, the odds can vacillate depending on player input. So just make sure it stays as game of chance. That's the key here that takes away from this. All right, moving on to the next one, and we've just got a couple more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and clear out the queue and see if any remaining ones come in, and then we're going to wrap up. So next one, is there any specific requirement to the license used for the code submitted, copy left allowed? So Dan, I'm not sure exactly what you mean on this one, but we did cover this a little bit earlier. The license, you have to have all the permissions and licenses to use the code that you've submitted. And any IP that's being submitted, you either have to have, again, license, or you have to own it yourself in order to qualify for a prize. Next question. I think you may have just answered this, but I want to clarify, can my game submission only run on one specific platform? Like, for example, if I get, no, exactly. We just covered this, I think, ad nauseum. So we just want to put an exclamation point behind that, like, look, don't feel limited. If you've got, you know, some really creative awesomeness that you want to express, then do it. And the state wants to see it. We want to see it. Everybody wants to see it. All right. So if we do use Web3 technology, is there a specific token to use for purchasing tickets such as DAI or USDC? So I'll answer this one. No. Again, you can use whatever you want. I would say when we talked about the idea earlier, when Lou mentioned that, like, it's really the idea, I'd build on that. I'm not going to contest that, but what I'm going to say is, yes, it's the idea, but most of the competition is probably going to come down to the UX and the experience. So the only thing that I would caution in the Web3 world is just making sure that your game is very usable, because the last thing that you want to do is to have the UX get in the way of the creativity, right? So we all know that in the Web3 world, we're still advancing ourselves in the space of user experience. So just keep that in mind as you're doing things. You will certainly get points for a really great user experience in using Web3 technology. So that's something I'm definitely looking for. But again, you're not constrained on whether, if you've got a funding mechanism, whether it's USDC or DAI, nobody really cares at this point what you use. All right, with that, I think we've cleared out the queue, and we've got one more. I'm gonna let it happen. So Bran Venter is asking, you mentioned wanting to expand into a broader target market for these games. What is your current lottery market, and who are the demographics you aim to bring into the lottery? Tom and Lou?
The lottery's demographics are pretty similar to Colorado's demographics.
And explain that, and say who that is, because some people are gonna be out of the state.
So yeah. What I mean by that is that there isn't a specific age group, income group, or education group that is over or underrepresented very significantly. Most Coloradans have had some college. We have a pretty good ratio of college graduates, which is also true of Colorado. The population of Colorado skews a little bit younger, but our player base really falls into all of the different age categories, except for obviously the youngest people, because many are still in college or don't have incomes yet. So, and it also doesn't include a lot of older people at the highest end of the age spectrum, because if they're retired or on fixed incomes, they don't have as much money to spend on lottery. So think about people with jobs. Think about people that are smart enough to figure out how to play a game on a lottery terminal. Think about people who can afford to play a continuous amount of lottery if they want to. I know that's not super helpful, but it really is just every person's game. Who are we trying to bring in? Well, I think what we're really focused on is trying to grow our retailer base to include more bars and restaurants, social establishments where people hang out. It's not about how old they are or what what their education is. It's about the social experience that we don't really have right now with any Colorado lottery products. But in many states, I think there are 19 states in the US now that have monitor networks where people can go to a bar, a restaurant, a sports bar, hang around, play a lottery game while they're waiting for their food. It's more experiential than it is really targeted to demographics. It's more about getting people involved at a different place than they're going to a convenience store or a grocery store. We want to expand their experience, and we think by expanding their experience, we'll appeal to more people. It's not really what those people look like. It's kind of what experience are they looking for, and something new that we haven't been able to provide them historically. I don't know if that's super helpful or not, but that's kind of how I would characterize it.
Lou's got one thing to add.
To that. Yeah, I would add to that. So everybody who's on this, ask yourself if you play lottery. And I'm not talking about buying them as Christmas presents, to give to everybody. I'm talking about, are you really a lottery player? If the answer is no, we want you to be a lottery player. Build it for you. Build it to be fun for you, because we're trying to get people who don't normally play the lottery. So those of you who don't play the lottery, you're the perfect people to figure out a new game of what would get people playing the lottery. And your friends as well. What would make your friends play? That's kind of what we're looking for.
Great. Thanks, Lou. Thanks, Tom. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up the Q&A. We've closed that out. So if you have more questions, feel free to ask them via the Discord server. And, we've got that open. From here on out, we will be officially kicking off the GameJam. So with that, I officially open the GameJam. So you are welcome to begin your projects, and we look forward to seeing your insane creativity. If you haven't registered yet, here's one distinction that we're going to do differently than most hackathons or game jams. We're leaving it open, okay? We've got 9 days or something, and we're going to go ahead and leave registrations open. So if you've got friends that want to join late, it's okay. They're going to have a little bit of a disadvantage possibly if they come in 3 or 4 days into this, but we don't want to limit anybody's creativity and contribution. So we're going to go ahead and leave that open on the Game Jolt page. If you want to do that, just go to the Game Jolt page and just have your friends register there. Don't forget, hashtag your project. When you're ready to submit it, you've got to use the specific CO Lottery Game Jam hashtag in Game Jolt to submit your project. We will be reminding you throughout the week, so don't miss that. Now, I will say one last thing to announce. On Monday afternoon, we will have the governor back, and the governor will be doing an open Q&A session for all Game Jam participants to talk with him directly about his plans for the state, why it's a great place to come, move, live, play, work, whatever you want to do, visit, and the innovation goals specifically directly from him. So we will be sending around some communications about that. You'll be able to join that and get direct insights from the man himself on the visions of Colorado and all of this innovation, collaboration, and modernizing public good infrastructure through technology. So that's about it. So one last parting comment from me. So it's been an unbelievable honor to be a part of what I see as an absolute first in the country partnership of collaboration between very distinct worlds. We found ways to align our incentives and to really create open channels of sharing and creativity, and in just ways that I didn't ever think would actually happen. So we are very, very honored to be a part of this effort with the state, and we look forward to continuing these efforts, and maybe, who knows, possibly having a, call it the Colorado Jam next, something that's even bigger in scope and even more aggressive when it comes to looking and searching for the next vectors of innovation when it comes to modernizing our public systems and just how we work together as the public service sector as well as just community members. So we look forward to that, and we couldn't be more full-throatedly supportive of this effort. Tom, your team, I want to give a special shout out to Gloria, who has done an unbelievable job at coordinating and project managing this. She deserves way more credit than she's getting, so I'm doing that publicly in front of everyone. And Lou, to you and your team as well, thank you so much. And all the participants and attendees, go make it happen. So jam on, folks. Let's do it. We'll talk to you soon.